What up? Welcome back once again to the Necro Zoo. I am Bones. And in this one, we're going to do a top 10 of all the custom figures I've done so far by using the McFarlane DC Multiverse figures. Now, this will only be regular standard figures, no Build-A-Figures, even though I have custom repainted some of those. Now, this will be mostly repainted figures, but some do have a little bit of custom details that I added. But this is my top 10 favorite ones of the ones I've done so far. Now, before we get into the list, we have reached 800 subscribers. Now, once again, I am very thankful to everyone who subscribes and everyone who comments, because that is a big part of the reason I do this, is to communicate with you guys and, show different customs, different figures that have been picked up, and ideas on recent releases and news and all that stuff. I'm really into all that. I actually watch a lot of videos, reviews, news videos, a bunch of channels that are mostly dedicated to DC Multiverse. If not, they have a good rounded figure selection. But to celebrate that, I will be giving away a t-shirt. Now, these are from the last company that I wrestled for, and most of them say Bones here on this side, and then on the back it can have either the Necro Zoo or just my skull emblem that I use. I do have limited quantities, but I do have sizes from small to extra large. Now, I do have a contingency plan if you are bigger than extra large, but we'll do that once whoever wins will message and I'll get you a shirt. So, not a big deal, but if you would like to be entered into the free t-shirt giveaway, comment down below. And then next Saturday, I'm going to do another top 10 list, and then I'll do a little quick raffle and we'll see who wins the t-shirt. If you like. If not, that's fine. But let's get into the list. First, I have done tons of figures. There are some other customs that I would like to put on here, but I didn't. It was a hard decision of who made the list, but I do have 3 honorable mentions. Now, first honorable mention will be my psycho serial killer Joker that I made using the head that comes in the Last Night on Earth's Batman's lantern. Now, I did remove that head to replace it with a more comic book accurate head, and I had to figure out something to do with this head, and it was to actually stick on this Joker body. Now, I really actually love this figure. It just gives like a demented, creepy Joker feel from it. I did paint the neck to match the face, which was a little bit more grayish, blotchy skin tone. I also matched the hands. I added tons of detail to buttons and little buckles that were not in the original figure. I just added those little gold details. I painted the flower on his lapel. And then moving down, I also did the shoes, which were more of a standard black, and I added some sweet details to that. But really interesting figure. I do like him, even though he did not make the top 10. But really interesting, creepy figure. Love that one. Now, my next honorable mention is Justice League's Cyborg, the Snyder Cut. Now, this guy, when he came, was a really dull, kind of like grayish metal color, and I really wanted to highlight with some really shiny silver, which I was able to do. Love the head sculpt on this guy. All the silver paint really highlighted this figure. Then he had like a big red blotch of paint on his chest, which was supposed to signify his, the energy coming out of his chest. But I did cover that and then painted more of like the undercarriage of his ribs, and then up here on the neck. It just seemed more screen accurate to me. I added a little gem to the middle of his chest just to give it a little bit of spice. Other thing I did is I did fix the trunks, which were really loose, and I actually split them on the sides and then re-glued them, and now you got a more snug fit. And also when he articulates, they get out of the way a little bit more. They don't get so bunched up because they're like at a tighter fit. But all in all, really cool repaint. Nice looking figure. From the Justice League wave. And then my third honorable mention will be my Rebirth Superman, which I did actually a lot of cool stuff too. First of all, I fixed the face because it had a lot of like really rosy tones, and like the darkness around his eyes made him look really crazy. So I toned those down, and then I added paint to his like wristbands there, and it's more of like a blue silver metallic tone. And then of course the biggest thing I did was fix the boots, the peak at the boots that McFarlane really dropped the ball on. And then of course I did add the yellow S to the back. One more thing I did do is I did change the hands because he had those big bulging fists, and I changed them to these smaller but more skin toned accurate hands. Really like the way he came out, and every time I walk by him I have to pick him up and take a look at him. He's a really nice looking Rebirth Superman figure now. Pretty cool. Now let's get into the actual list. Coming in at number 1 is my Last Night on Earth Wonder Woman repaint. Now I did change a couple of things on her. She had like paint to signify stubble on the side of her head, but if you look at the comics, she was like clean shaven. So I removed that paint to give her a more clean look. And then I also added the scarring that she had on the left side of her cheek, because in the comics it's really pronounced and you could actually see it, and in the figure it was really just hinted at. They didn't really go at it. Well, I did add it to where she has all this like, you know, scabbing and scarring on her cheek. Then I did add details to around her waist, to all her little buckles and stuff on her belt that it was not in the original release. Then I also changed her hands from just regular hands to gloved hands, because that is how she is in the comic. And then I actually covered up the gap in her sword sheath because it was like exposed, but I actually covered it up, and then actually did a little bit of repainting to her sword, adding some silver to the handle and stuff like that. Then I painted up her boots to add all the little buckles and the little buttons that were not painted in. This one originally came with the wrong color pins on the ankle, and I colored in those with some red. And then the final touch was recently I added her the Dr. Fate helmet that actually looks like the Dr. Fate helmet that she has in the comic, because I also did a custom Dr. Fate. He did not make the list, but it actually goes a lot better with her. So that is my number 10 custom figure, my Last Night on Earth Wonder Woman. Coming in at number 9 is my custom repainted Rebirth Joker. Now the main thing on this guy was the head. The face paint was just like all crazy. They had added like a bunch of orange that I really disliked, so I just went in there and actually gave him a more classic Joker look. I actually brightened the teeth a little bit and fixed all that excess orange around the eyes, and then I actually matched the neck a little bit better than how it was originally. And then moving down, of course, I added all the little buttons, painted the flower, and then moving down I also painted the bottom part of the shoe buckle there underneath white, just to give him a little bit, you know, something extra. But he is actually one of my favorite custom repaints that I've done. and it just gave him a more traditional Joker look than the Rebirth that was released by McFarlane. Pretty awesome one there. Now coming in at number 8, we do have my custom repainted Deathstroke from the Arkham games. Now I actually did a lot of work to this guy. Aside from repainting the blue, adding a little bit of touch of copper to the orange, I also added all the details, buckles, the shells on his shoulder. I think some of the pins were the wrong color, and I actually painted in the pins as well, just to make them match. Now I did actually fix his sword, because this was another one that was a half sheath, so you could actually see the sword inside of the scabbard. But I actually covered that with a cool little trick, and then I actually added details to his sword, and it goes right back into his sheath, so that's pretty cool. Love that grenade on his waist. Added more paint to all the buckles, actually some brown. Gave him a staff that matches his color scheme. You know, love this figure. Even starting from the head, did the added like some silver to represent the damage on his suit. Awesome, awesome. And then the best thing I did out of this one, cannot forget it. Favorite little details that I did is I actually made the gun removable at his holster. So now he actually has a functioning holster and a pretty sweet gun. This can actually also go in his hand if you like to pose him like that, but it also slips right back into his holster. So really happy with that one. There's another cool custom that I did. I added tons of paint. That one, I remember that one took me a couple of of weeks to like get it all done, but really happy with that one. Now number 7 will be the Last Night on Earth's Batman. A lot of pretty cool details I added to this guy. I actually bored out the peg for his head so that he could actually look up really well, because before he had, you know, limited articulation up. But gives his head a lot more dexterity. Added like the painted buckles on his cowl, which were missing. All over the figure there's buckles that were not painted in, from the belt to the wrist straps, even to the back at this, like what represents the cape are these straps, and I painted all the buckles in. And then on his gauntlets, it's actually supposed to be shards of glass, and of course they just came like with they were brown with like a real quick swipe of silver paint. And this is actually the first time I ever used metallic pearl, which was like a new color I had never used before. And ever since I found it and I used it on this figure, it's actually like one of my go-to paints to like mix or add a little bit of like shininess to, is that metallic pearl color. But really beautiful figure. Love all the details. Now in the lantern, I did change out the Joker head, because in the comic, like it's like a manacled Joker head that just like laughs his head off, and the one that was in there was like a more creepy, like dour looking head. So I switched those out, and then I did do a little bit of detailing to his billy club, added a little hand strap and some like blue tint to it. So also did the details of silver on his grommets from his boots, and then gave it like a dark little wash on the legs and a little bit on top. Really makes the figure stand out a lot more. That's one thing about McFarlane, is that people could say what they want, but this is like a customizer's line where the sculpts are great, some of the details are missing, and if you're good with paint, you could make them, 10 times better. So that was the next figure, the Last Night on Earth Batman, Straight Jacket Batman. Now number 6, my most recent custom, which was the Dark Knight Returns Unmasked Old Man Bruce Wayne. Now I did this one more in a color to represent the comic, more like a cobalt blue grayish color that is really representative of the comic. Love the blue cape that I added. The head works really well. All, you know, did the belt in yellow, did the cod piece. Everything on here is, you know, spot on. Really, really cool figure. Added this Sonic Blaster. Just put up the video a little while back, but he is becoming one of my favorite repaints that I've done. So he ain't no joke. It's pretty cool repaint. Love having him up there on the shelf. Pretty awesome repaint there. Now at number 5, we do have one of my favorite characters that I honestly think that if they weren't like so against guns right now at Warner Brothers, and I think that this would be like one of their breakout characters because pretty much they killed him off in the comics. But this is my custom repainted Grim Knight. Beautiful, beautiful figure. I mean, this is by far one of my favorite figures to this day. I still love this Grim Knight. I don't know what it is about him, but he looks really good. Now, there's just tons of added paint that I put on here. All over him. I added straps, and there's greens in there, there's reds in there, there's golds in there. Some of the pouches I did brown, but some I left gray. Just awesome, awesome detail to this figure. I gave him some pretty sweet Desert Eagles. And then, of course, his gun arsenal in the back, I added detail to all of that. And then one of the best things I did is I added, you know, like battle damaged cape. It looks like it has like bullet holes in it. Awesome. Now this is removable, so if you wanted to put them without it, you could actually do it. Now there's videos for all these figures. There's a video for this one where I actually go into more detail. But this is one of my favorite customs that I've done. I still look at them all the time. Love me some Grim Knight. Hopefully they'll figure out how to, you know, get them back into like storylines and stuff. But love that figure. Always be a big fan of Grim Knight. Pretty cool. Love that repaint. Coming in at number 4 is my custom repainted Bizarro. Now I did want a more traditional Bizarro color scheme than the one they gave us. Also, I wanted a more like monsterish, zombie-ish Bizarro, which is more my favorite. So I started off with whitening out the eyes to that head sculpt. And then I matched the neck because the neck and the head were a little bit off. So I also did that. Painted the purple, yellow color scheme that's more traditional. Did all of them. Did the whole thing. It's pretty cool. Retained articulation. Now he does have the infected Superman cape, and I also added the yellow S in the back, and then I made him this pretty cool, his medallion that he wears, Bizarro number 1. There's also a video for this one if you guys are interested in any of these to look at them more closely. They're up on the channel. If I knew how to do links, I would put links, but I don't get that technical. But awesome, awesome Bizarro figure. I'm really proud of that one. Now, all of these figures, some have sentimental value, some are just took a lot of work, and some I'm just really proud of the work I did. So, pretty cool custom figures here. Now, number 3 has got to be my custom Red Hood. Now, he does have his traditional helmet that you could slap on, but I also used the Unmasked Jason Todd head, but I actually sculpted out his domino mask, which I feel was really needed. But this guy looks, you know, badass. I love this figure. With the domino mask, it just gives him that extra little touch. I added the red bats to his guns, added the silver to his jacket, like buttons, and then the zipper. Pretty cool. I added the knuckles, you know, to his gloves in silver. And then moving down, I added for his kick pads, I added some more silver. But basically this guy, it's all about the head sculpt. Love the work I did here to give him a more traditional unmasked Red Hood look. But that, like I said, there's a video if you want to get a closer look at it. But really proud of this one. Love my unmasked Red Hood figure. Always look at him up there on the shelf. Pretty cool. Now we're getting down to the nitty gritty. Number 2 is gonna be my brutal Batman custom. I just love this guy. I also just did a video on him using parts from the Death Metal Batman, the Thomas Wayne Batman, and even the Batman 1000. I made this crazy, confident looking, brutal looking Batman. I just love the head sculpt on this guy. I love that thickness to his neck. It just awesome. I gave him this little grapnel gun. And I also made him a little diorama, which it's in the video if you want to take a closer look at it. But this is one of the ones I'm really proud of. I love this figure. You know, McFarlane hadn't given us a really cool, like, down and dirty Batman figure. So I, took it into my own hands, and this is the one I came out with. So, love this guy. You could check him out on the channel. And he actually looks really good in his diorama that I have him up on the wall on. Now we're at number 1. This is it. My favorite, best custom that I've done that, I get the most compliments on. And that has to be my classic light blue Superman 1000 repaint custom. Now, I did this one months ago, maybe even a year ago I did this one. And I actually took the infected Superman body, but I did something different as I removed the Superman emblem from the 1000 and added it to this body, which was a little bit of a task, but I just feel it looks a lot better because since this figure is more bulky and has a broader chest, that big emblem just fits perfectly in there. I did work to the head, to the hair, to the skin tones to make everything match. I changed his hands to give him 2 double fists, which they had not given us a year ago, and I already had it. Repainted it all like to a more traditional red and light blue scheme. I used the Superman 1000 cape, but I did add the yellow S in the back. Now by far, this is my favorite repaint custom that I've done. Now I know there's going to be more to come. In fact, there were some that I really wanted to put on the list, but they just didn't make it. But if you want to check any of these out, there's videos on all of them on the channel. You just have to look for them. But love this guy. Love these guys. Going back to what I was talking about at first, McFarlane is just like a dream customizer's line because when you have pegs and you have body parts that could be removed, that just opens up to more customizations. When you have figures with details that aren't painted in, that just opens up to more, to taking that figure to another level. And actually, I'm still, there's more that I did that didn't make the list, but I have other ones in mind, like my Lobo that I'm going to do, Lex Luthor in the Dark Side armor, repaint that I'm going to do. All of those I still have to do. It's just, a lot of time, a lot of patience. It takes a toll on me sometimes when I have to get down there and paint real small details, but hope you guys enjoyed. You guys keep hunting out there, keep collecting, keep customizing, and I will see you on the next one. I added her the Dr. Fate helmet that actually looks